it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Ah, yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
What?
What? I just go to open the oil,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what's wrong with it? It's all leaked out onto the cardboard.
Just smell it.
Oh, my God, it smells so good.
I bet it doesn't.
Look at what happened.
bet
How come
it
the
does
top's
not.
out of it?
Which chakra oil is that?
This is the solar plexus. Look at it's gone.
Oh, the belly button one?
It's gone. Mm-hmm. Here, smell it.
Yeah, well, just take the box and wipe it on your boob.
This smells delicious.
so bad.
It's like lemon pledge. Well, solar plexus.
More lemon plate.
That's not it. That's not it. Thank you so much for putting that on your neck. I really appreciate that. It only took about 17...
Do I have to throw this away?
Yeah, it's gone.
But then I won't have a complete set.
I have so many thoughts and feelings right now.
I got to throw it away?
I'm like...
I was wondering why my car is smelling really good.
Why would we keep it was my first thought. My next thought was, okay, I mean, it's important to her, so give it a minute. And then I'm like, it's an empty bottle, though.
I know.
Why
I'm
would
not a hoarder.
And you're not going to keep that thing you're about to throw away. So I'm sorry. That is an example of a time where I came to a conclusion quicker than you did. It's maybe one example. This is just one, but
I forgot about my my cards today. Okay.
having the cards.
No. Getting them out.
Oh, why don't you tell Scott what I sent you a picture of?
Oh, my
this
God.
morning?
This morning. So she sends me a text message, and it's just an attachment, which is not unusual.
In fact, Scott, you got your phone?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Okay. Then
All
I
right,
don't want to
just-
tell because
Just wait a minute. Let me just send you a little ditty here.
I want Scott's reaction.
Okay. Let's see. What time was it that I sent this to you?
8:25.
Okay.
It's not the first thing in your camera roll?
Yeah, it is. I just had to pull up Scott's phone number.
Oh.
Okay. Come
All right,
at you, Scott.
Just look at the whole picture.
Oh.
What do you see?
What
What do you see?
In the stories,
Oh!
What do you see, Scott? What do you see?
I see cooch.
Listen, we have to talk about this.
I know.
This is not okay. So
What is it?
I go
It's
on.
a vagina.
That's what I thought. I
It's
was
a
like,
hairy vagina.
I'm thinking it's one of those tricks where it's actually like somebody's neck, but for
Nope.
some reason.
It's
Oh, that's
definitely
funny.
a
Who the
vagina.
fuck is this
That
person?
is really funny. Listen, don't say the name out loud. Okay, listen.
I don't even know who that
She's
is.
a bad lady, that one.
No. This is
She hacked?
I have to talk to you about this.
Okay.
Because the profile picture doesn't match the story.
I can't believe you just said that. And I can't wait to talk about that too.
Okay.
All right, listen.
Lay it on me.
This is a girl that I went to high school with. Incessantly bullied. When I say
She's our age?
yes.
She's our age.
Yes. When I say bullied, I mean an incredible story of someone who persevered through people being, she was the person that people would choose as the butt of their jokes every single time, except for me.
I know.
Right?
Really.
I am the
Sat next to
one
her.
Yeah.
who would say hi to her in the hall. I am the one who would go over to her locker. I am the one who would see her sitting alone in lunch, right? Because when you talk about empathy, is just this ingrained piece. I felt constantly, every time I saw her, just this incredible sense of sadness for her. So Facebook becomes a thing, and she friends me on Facebook. I 100% accept it. I've never had any conversations with her since, right? But I've seen some of her
You mean
stuff
this is when we were in
get
college?
posted. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that long ago. This wasn't
Yeah.
like a
No,
couple weeks ago.
We've been friends from the beginning
Right.
on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah.
And the other day I go in and open up Facebook, and that is still to this moment the first thing. What I just sent to you and Scott is the first thing that pops up. You got the word Facebook on the top. You got the Facebook stories, and then you got like everyone's feed comments on there. So I see in this story this hairy vagina, and I'm perplexed because it's next to this woman's name. So when I'm telling you that every single feeling is going through me right now, I'm thinking to this is what's going on. Okay, I'm going to walk you through this. Well, maybe she has a new job. Maybe.
What?
This is part of OnlyFans. Maybe she really turned a new leaf. Whoa, there's no way that that's her vagina. Why would
That's what I'm saying. It didn't match the
Why would I
profile
think that
picture.
wasn't her vagina? Why would I be judging people's vaginas? That's a lot of hair. Why is the underwear pulled off a little bit to the side? That looks like a vagina wedgie. This is what is going on for me. I'd like you to know that the tone I just read that in was like really good.
It's OnlyFans.
It's really good.
I
ASMR. So, what do? I screenshot it and I send it to Mark. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now Mark knows her because we went to high school together. Mm-hmm. What's his first comment? That's not her vag. Okay.
Okay.
So what do? I send it to Becky Boyle. Mm-hmm. Also went to high school. Mm-hmm. What's her first comment? That's not her vag. I then call Nina and I said, "Got to tell you, this thing happened, and I got to send you this picture." I send the picture to her. She goes, "Oh God, what the heck is going on?" The questions that keep coming up: why did that not get taken down from Facebook yet? Why is that still on her stories? Is that really her vagina? Probably not. So, did she get scammed, like hacked, taken over by bots? Well, if she did, then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to contact her. I need to contact her, and I need to be the one to say, I don't know if you know this, but there's a picture of legs with a very hairy vag on your stories. And I don't want that for you if you don't want that for you.
Maybe she does.
I don't want that for you if you don't want that for you.
I don't want that for you if you don't want that for you. If you want that for you, that's great. I'm going to ask that we maybe take that off of Facebook. Maybe not the place, right? Like, let me just use this as an opportunity to talk about appropriateness. So then I send it to Rebecca this morning at 8:30 in the morning. And what did you say?
I said, "Oh my God, that's a vag."
And then what did you say?
I said, "It's a kind of a nice vag." I go, "Well, I mean, if you're going to have a hairy vag, I mean, I guess it's a hairy vag that's nice. I don't know."
It is the white underwear that looks like cotton panty thongs.
Oh, yeah.
Pulled off to the side.
I don't understand.
Which pushes the bush part up, makes me highly uncomfortable.
The whole thing is uncomfortable.
How about
that's not something you should see in a story.
How about every time you open up your Facebook page, that's the first thing that's popping up.
Winona's hairy beaver looking right at you.
Winona?
Right. That's right. But why? But why?
I don't know. Did you contact her?
No, I haven't yet. Should I? I will.
Just report it. Just report
I
it.
can't. She's a victim of bullying. If she really wants that picture, I can't. I'm not going to be the one. You know, if that's her taking some of her power back, more power to her.
All
Because
right, then ignore it.
I can't ignore it.
Well,
you
then
want to?
take
You want to
action.
ignore it? How often do you go on Facebook every single day?
You know what I do is I will either, because I've had some people that I follow that have put up some kind of not things that I don't particularly care for. And so I will either mute their alerts or mute their whatever, their story. You can mute a story, I think, or I will just unfollow them. If I don't want to take the drastic step of unfriending them, And I'm like, I don't like what that is, so I'm going to unfollow them. So now I don't see that anymore. So they can do it all they want, but I don't see it.
Right, but it's the empathy component that she's feeling like this girl doesn't know.
She might
Right,
not
so
know.
you have to
Maybe
write
she
in on your
likes it. Maybe
Shaved
she
white horse and save her.
Shaved white horse. Oh my God.
right.
I'm assuming. I took a wild guess. Just based on how you guys were talking about that vag.
I mean,
That's a fun
Just
game.
assumed you guys were closely
That's a
cropped.
fun game.
You-
Shaved, waxed, or bush.
wait.
I'd say Brazilian.
Wait a minute. Do you not remember?
Scott.
Do you not
Great
remember
job,
going with
Scott.
us to the waxer place?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so then you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know about you,
Right.
Because
me?
you went in there for the first time at the age of 42 and had your eyebrows waxed for the first time ever.
Which I've never done again and never will. This is exactly, we're still at the same exact place that we were.
in your unitard. Remember?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So anyway, that's what we call empathy for Facebook Stories Vag edition.
Vag edition.
Vag edition.
Nice.
And it's not great, but I think I need to say something about it because if she doesn't know, she needs to. If she does know, I want to really embrace that for her and then unfollow it. And
Definitely unfollow.
but I'm telling you, every time I go to open my Facebook app, it's there. It's
Why?
I
Your
don't
stories
know.
don't
It
change?
does not even change. It does not change. It keeps showing up over and over and over again. It's fascinating. The fact that so many people have been like, that's not her vag.
Well, I mean, that was like the second thing I said. Was
I know.
There's a mismatch.
You don't
mismatch
even
here.
know her.
Right.
Oh, I didn't even look at the picture of I didn't even look at whose.
That's my second thing.
Profile
The first
it was.
thing is wow, and then the second thing is all right. Who's posting this?
That's funny. I didn't even look at that. I just
So I
looked
can
at the vag.
Better understand the situation. Now let me delete this from my phone, so my mom doesn't go through my phone.
Mom.
No, so the reason why I said that is because remember you texted me yesterday about empathy problem.
Yeah.
I have an empathy problem that is about my mom, so that's why I said that.
Oh, should we dive right in?
Yeah, it is. I know.
Freudian, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
funny.
My mom.
So my mom doesn't see it.
So my mom doesn't see the
my
vag
wife
picture that you
doesn't
sent
see
me.
it.
yeah. Oh my God.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I think if Kelly saw that, she'd be like, more power to you, Scott. If that's the way we're headed, go,
That limb,
go for
you
you.
broke the limb and fell to your death.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
not a soft landing at all.
I love that. I'm like, Mark, look at this. Check this out. Blah, 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 blah.
Ew. Oh my God.
I didn't realize, but I married a nun who is not religious. She's not a religious nun.
Oh, she just doesn't like. She doesn't like perverty.
She gets very uncomfortable with things of that nature.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically because she doesn't want you involved in the business of other women or any type of topic. Like even right now, she'd be dying that we're talking about this on the podcast.
She'd be dying.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
She'd go, nope, nope.
No. Love that. All right. We are going to dive into Scott's empathy problem today.
Okay.
But do you want to hit us with a card? It appears to me that you have pulled a card we have pulled previously.
We have?
It looks like it.
I don't think so. Motivation?
No. No.
Okay, so this is the seahorse. By the way, the other day I saw a Facebook video or something of a seahorse. You know that males give birth?
Yeah.
And it was shooting out
I know. It's
thousands
disgusting.
of babies.
I
It
want
was
to throw up right
the
now.
grossest
I know.
thing I have ever
It's
seen.
so gross.
And then somebody goes, how many of those survive?
And then he's like, oh, not done yet. Still pushing.
And
Still
it's
pushing.
like,
and I'm like, can you make it stop?
Shoot.
I hate that.
I know.
I don't like that at all.
So you saw it too?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I didn't want to.
Okay.
But I did. I hate that. It's so gross. Oh my God. Okay.
All right, well, it's 3 of Wands, it's motivation, which I thought was interesting because my solar plexus, I got the solar plexus burning over here, and then the one over the oil that's all gone is for purpose.
Okay.
And then this says motivation. And I kind of feel like this is speaking to me because I've had a corner turn.
Okay.
Hold on, I got to find.
What's that mean? A corner turn.
I finally feel hormonally balanced, and I'm not crying every day. And
oh wow, it's because we upped your meds.
Oh, we did it again.
Again?
Yeah.
Jeez.
We are now in the zone.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel really great.
That's what we need to tame the beast inside.
That's right.
Great.
Okay, hold on. Wands. Okay. 3 of Wands. The meaning is motivation. This 3 brings energy and enthusiasm to all of your activities, and in love predicts a new relationship and celebrations, such as a wedding and engagement. This 3 is also a brilliant card for travel and for the arts and sports too, showing a dynamic attitude that gets results. You may find yourself taking an unusual approach to a dilemma or a situation, finding an ingenious way to problem solve and get your message across. So the advice is to think literally. Think laterally. Try new ways to fire your communication and creativity. I'm like, that didn't make sense.
Think literally.
Think laterally. So what's interesting, this is so funny, this comes up.
You laterally make no sense.
Laterally, yeah. Laterally. I have 2 huge, I'm traveling next week, and I'm going on my dad's trip with my group, and we're doing some things that are a little bit different, and true to form, 4 days out, things continue to come up that I have to problem solve and put fires out and things like that. And the same is happening with another trip I'm going on in 2 weeks to a different event that I've never done before. But what's exciting is we talked about your cup.
Yeah.
Your world's best. Mm-hmm. And so because I'm a world's best pivoter, I'm making magic happen.
Yep.
I might as well have that vag picture.
Nothing to see here.
Boom! And so what's funny is I'm totally motivated by that. I'm totally motivated because I do believe things, quote unquote, happen for a reason. I know that sounds terrible, but when one thing falls apart that seems devastating, I don't look at it like that. I'm like, there's a reason that wasn't supposed to happen. It's disappointing, grieve it for a couple minutes, but then something better is going to come along. And that's what's been happening, which is really cool. So really excited to go to the Florida Keys. Remember we went there?
Oh, yeah.
Really excited to do that. I'm sure I'll have some stories. I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there may be a chance I'm going fishing. Did I have a dream last night? Because I was doing all the fishing. I'm chartering 13 fishing boats. And did I have a dream last night that you and I were on this, not a cruise ship, but we were fishing, and it was huge swordfish.
Oh, good.
And you were the one pulling it into the boat.
Of course.
And I'm the one that's like, get that shit away from me.
I don't like its nose.
No, it was like that. It was like coming real close.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was just us?
Yeah.
We were just fishing, just the 2 of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
who was driving the boat?
A captain.
Oh.
No, there was like a crew.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. So it was real weird. And then I had a real weird dream the night before about a person.
Oh. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that later. That was next level.
Speaking of dreams, this is so tangential. But Mark comes up this morning from being downstairs, and he's like, I got this dream, and it was about flooding, and there's so much water. And then he's like, there, your dad pops his head out, and I'm looking for Carter. And he's telling me this whole story. That then leads into a conversation. He's like, oh, speaking of Carter, he's like, I was just downstairs, and we were watching this thing on Michael Jordan on TV, and how at one of the games that Michael Jordan was playing, they had one of the audience members come down and shoot the ball to try and win, whatever money.
Yeah.
Right. And so the guy shot and made it, which is not something you would ever
You mean from like half court?
Oh, like, yeah, or further, right? Like he made this unshootable shot and ends up winning $1 million, but the insurance company never paid it out. So Michael Jordan.
Well, there is a Michael Johnson, right?
No. Yeah, there is, but that's not it. Okay. Who was it? Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Like from Space Jam?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Okay. Michael Jordan gets the Bulls and he himself to pay this man $1 million.
He earned it, damn it.
I know, which I very much appreciated, which then led Carter to be like, I think Michael Jordan has like billions of dollars. And Mark's like, yeah, probably. He's still making money off of merch, just associated with his name. He's incredibly famous. And Carter's like, well, it's kind of like us at our house. We have millions of dollars as well. And Mark goes, yeah? Do we? You think so? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, what makes you think that we have millions of dollars? And he goes, Mom, she has a podcast.
I love him. I love that child. By the way, I know you didn't ask me to look it up, but $3.2 billion is his net worth.
Oh, okay.
With a B.
So that is really fun. Well, Sawyer used to think we were rich because we live in a raised ranch and our living room was upstairs. She's like, nobody else has a living room
living high on the
upstairs. Yeah. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
When I was growing up.
Kids have the funniest things.
I love
when I was growing up. All right. So now I'm going to let you into a little bit of my past. Which,
oh, boy.
Okay.
You know.
Here we go.
Okay.
So I grew up in South Florida, of course, as you know. I think, you know.
Because of the gators.
Yeah, right.
Right. So we lived for the first, let's see, from first grade until sixth grade, we lived in a mobile home, what they call a trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Back in
was it a double wide or a single wide?
It was a double wide. Mm-hmm. A single wide, I would have gone out of my mind. But it was a double wide.
Some double wides are very nice.
It was the Cadillac of mobile homes.
I bet it was great.
I bet.
Well, it could have been the Vega of mobile homes. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm a non-judger. I live in one right now. This is half my rent.
At the time, they were all the rage in the late 70s, early 80s, right? I used to be so jealous of my friends that had actual houses. It's like, oh, when you walk in your house, you don't hear boom, 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 boom.
That's so interesting.
There aren't possums, a family of possums living under your house. That's really cool.
See, these are things that I just don't think about. I don't compare what I have to other people. I never did when I was growing up. I mean, I grew up without a dad. Everybody else I knew had a dad. I wasn't like, oh, I wish I had a dad. It just wasn't.
This is what's so fascinating. You're so fascinating. You're so fascinating.
Then we moved into an apartment.
Scott's in this moment where he's like, let me tell you about this thing.
But I don't know why he feels that way.
You are so uncomfortable with any feelings that come up for Scott about his trailer home that you immediately go to, oh, I don't know why. Everything's great. I don't know why anyone would feel that way.
What's bad about a trailer?
Here I am over here like,
I'm only you know, speaking of, I'm looking back through today's lens.
Okay.
At the time, it wasn't like we were ashamed of it or no.
Okay. All right.
But when I went to my friends' houses who had a house and they had like a yard and you know, it was cool.
Okay.
It was different because I hadn't lived in a house before.
Okay.
I actually, from the time that we moved to Florida when I was 5, I didn't live into an honest, like real house until I was 18.
Oh.
We lived in the trailer home, we lived in apartments, and we lived in a townhouse. So it wasn't until I was 18 until my parents actually bought a house that we lived in a house.
Wow.
And that was a big deal for me. It was huge. It was like a house with a pool and a yard. We're moving on up.
Oh my God. See, in my mind, I'm like, Philip, can we move to an apartment so we don't have to mow the lawn? This is.
Well, as I got older, I did appreciate apartment living a little bit.
Yes, it's a lot of pluses.
Except for the clowns. We had the clowns that lived next door.
Wow. That's going to be another story.
Next time, if you ever get to hang out with Kelly, ask her about the clowns.
So
there was this family from Tennessee in the apartment next to us, and there was like 50 people living in that apartment.
Oh, like a little clown class.
So we call them the clowns.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's funny how people's or kids' appreciation for what rich is differs.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's based on your own personal experience.
Of course. Taylor says to me, I just got a new car. And she goes, oh, God, Mom. I go, what? She goes, my friends already think we're rich. Now this just confirms the deal. And I said, why? And and I think it's because our house is picked up.
Oh,
because you don't live in a shithole?
I'm like, what about, I go, everything I buy is from the Goodwills. I go, what makes it rich? I think it's just because it's aesthetically pleasing and it's picked up. And she's like,
the bar is low.
The bar. Right. And I think, wow, it's just really funny to me. But you're right. Kids' interpretations, very interesting.
Yeah. I said, what did you say, Mark? And he's like, well, I felt left out. And so I said, your dad makes money too. And I said, wow. Here's what I really appreciate about that, Mark. is I really appreciate that you were able to identify that you felt left out in the conversation, because before you would just be like, I told him your dad makes money as well. Your dad brings home a paycheck, right? And I would have been like, that's such an odd thing to say, right? But now he's really starting to like enter in the feeling component of why he's saying, like he's letting me into some of the details about why he's thinking the way that he is.
Okay.
It's very helpful for someone who's literal like me, because I'm usually like, whoa, we went where? We couldn't just let that be? Like, right? So just him saying the word, I felt left out, right? I'm like, thank you. Really appreciate that. And then I was like, stop telling him that. I probably corrected him. It was probably like, yeah, so what? So yeah, your mom makes millions on a podcast.
On the podcast.
Yeah, let him think that that's the case. Because it lands differently when he's like, can we go get a New Jersey? I'm like, nope.
Right.
Well, why not?
Right. Because he doesn't understand.
It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the fact that your mom has power to say no.
Why does he want to go to New Jersey?
A new
a new sports shirt?
A new sports jersey.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, it's
what the
also
hell's in New Jersey. I mean,
New Jersey.
It's also
bad driving,
right?
State.
Horrendous driving.
It's not even the podcast. It's the fact that the podcast is on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
that's the part. It's like we're on YouTube when
we're like friends with Mr. Beast now.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But like the girls' soccer team, the coach at the end of the year puts a compilation of all the pictures and then shows it through YouTube, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're famous!"
Yeah, we're on the YouTube.
It's not even a shared link, but just because it's on YouTube.
Yeah. My favorite part is when Mark's like, "Mom doesn't make money on her podcast."
Right.
Carter's like, I'm like, yeah, I got that all battle hardened over here. Foolproof. Doesn't matter what you tell that kid. He's real clear who his mom is, what his mom does, whether it's true or not. Right. He's the kid that, when he goes up and starts talking about his experiences in life, and he's like, it was my mom. It was my mom who made all the money. It was my mom who was famous. My mom, worked a lot. My mom did it all. Right. Like, I'm really crafting the story over here. And then Mark's over here like, what about me?
Well, I told you what my soccer mom said to me the other day. She was like, my son came up to me. He's 5. My son, I'm tucking him into bed, and he goes, Mom, I can't wait to be a dad. And she goes, really? Why? And he goes, because dads don't do anything.
I don't see your bubble out there, Scott.
Dad's got it made. He doesn't have to do anything.
Dad's got it good. That's a running joke. That's a running joke at our house, because my dad, when I was growing up, my mom would be all like ragged, running around, doing everything you possibly can. And I would be like, Dad, are you going to help with the dishes? And he'd go, I can't. The cat's on my lap. That's what he used to say all the time.
He used to say what?
I can't. The cat's on my lap.
The cat's on my lap. We use that.
That's the thing that we use all the time in my house. I'll be upstairs watching TV, doing whatever. And then Mark will be like, hey, could you come help with?
That's
and
legit.
I'm like, I can't. The cat's on my lap.
Now it's the dog's on my lap, because we have a little dog.
You do not want to don't want to disturb them.
Yeah. Right. You look over, the cat is absolutely not on Mark's lap, but he's on his phone, and he's like, the cat's on my lap. It's hilarious. Okay. All right, Scott. So what we're doing today is I asked Scott to bring us an empathy problem.
I love it.
And to not tell us about it.
Oh, boy.
So you're getting the real and raw here with Rebecca and Erin, because we don't know anything about this. So we're just going to have to answer this completely on the fly, which is my favorite and tells me why we're perfect for radio. Because all we need is the call-in show component. Where someone's like, hey, I got to tell you what's happening right now and, how we handle this. And then I'm like, here's how we handle it. And you're like, nope, here's how we handle it. And then we're like, sorry, we left you with mixed advice. Have a good day. And then Scott's like, I'm kind of in between the two of them, right? Like, thank you. We've left you with nothing.
Yep.
Thank you for calling.
Yep. All right.
So,
hit it.
All right, Scott, we're ready for you. At least we think we are.
Okay. So this is a parenting empathy problem.
I got this.
And hopefully it doesn't take me too long to get to the empathy. I'll skip right to the empathy problem of this.
Okay.
And I had a conversation with my mother yesterday, which made me very upset because she was essentially judging my parenting without outwardly saying I'm judging you, but she likes to give me advice that it's not helpful because it doesn't work with the day. It's advice from 45, 50 years ago. It just doesn't work today. It doesn't work. And
Erin knows all about
I got this one.
and
I got it.
And also she, she's in Florida. She has not been around my kids but a handful of times in the course of their lives, and only knows what we say about them. She doesn't know them fully, even though she's their grandmother and she feels like she knows them because they're family. She doesn't know them. So it's not helpful for her to give me advice. And it's not, there's a way of giving advice and there's a way of telling people this is what you're supposed to do. And you're not doing that.
Yep.
So anyway, I texted Kelly and I said, another time, remind me to never tell my mom what's going on with the kids and just say everything's fine.
Yep.
And so then I kind of told her what happened, and she begged me to text my mom to tell her, to give her a piece of her mind. And I was like, you will not do that. There's no way.
Oh, she wanted to do it. Kelly wanted to do it. Okay.
Kelly wanted to text her and say, da, 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 da. And I said, no. I said, first of all, I don't, because Kelly doesn't talk to my mom ever, unless she absolutely has to. There's no outward, problem, but she chooses not to have those conversations because they always end up like mine just did, where she gives advice and it's like, you don't understand. That's not the situation. I can't go into it now. Da, 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 da. So I said, you're not going to do that because ultimately her advice comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of trying to help. She may be wrong. She may not understand the situation exactly how it does. She can't relate to it because she's never gone through it. She didn't raise kids at the height of social media. She didn't raise kids at the height of, the anxiety epidemic and COVID, things that happened that COVID caused with our kids. She did not have that experience. So she can't take the experience that she had raising kids and apply it to today. Some of it, yes, perhaps, but some of it does not compute. And so that was the problem we had. And I was having the conversation with my mom and I'm like, look, and the reason why I called her is because Kelly and I were at a store and I saw this little tchotchke that I thought my mom would like, and I bought it and I sent it to her. And I was calling her to see if she got it. And it was just a spur of the moment thing I wanted to get her. And then I realized Mother's Day's coming up. So I made it a Mother's Day present and I put the card in there and everything.
Nice.
And so I was just calling to see if she got my present. And then it turned into I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to get in an argument with you right now, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's
you saying that.
Yes. So, and then she was, like, okay, well, da, da, da. And we moved on and we're good at that.
You're good at moving on?
We're good at moving on from those conversations. I withdraw from those conversations and say, whatever, let's talk about something else. And I change the subject. And she picks up on that and goes with it. But in that period of time where we talk about it, it gets really frustrating for me because I'm like, Abby this and Abby that, and she's having trouble with this. And well, why don't you just make her do this? And why don't you just make her do that and take this away and take that away? And I'm like, no, it's not how I operate. That's not the way I do things. Sometimes in the past, perhaps, but that's like, device addiction is a big thing. I see you smirking, Rebecca, because I know that you probably would do shots with my mom.
No. In my mind, I'm thinking you can't discipline a teenager the same way you discipline an 8-year-old.
Right.
You don't just take things away.
But I know you have a lot of those sort of old-fashioned views on raising kids.
I do, but your children are older than mine.
Yeah.
So
Scott's like,
I think there's two different. It's different. It's different when you're dealing with a natural situation, specifically when you mention technology.
Yeah.
It's just different. My 8-year-old doesn't get the same privileges as my 16-year-old.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the only difference.
And my kids, when my kids were 8, they didn't have, the technology wasn't there yet.
Right.
So they were playing with my flip phone.
Right. It's a very different world.
Play with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they had like these cheesy little what were those things? It was some sort of a play game, but it was educational. You know, it looked like a laptop, or it looked.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, it was just
like a leapfrog or whatever.
Yeah. It was by Leapfrog, so it had the little cartridges and stuff,
Right.
and they played, but it was all learning stuff. So,
Right.
but they were like, we're playing games,
Right. It emulated what we had as adults. Yeah. Now they just have better things than we do.
But you know, I'm trying to explain to her about my daughter and her anxiety issues and her self-esteem issues and the problems she went through with that guy online, which is still being litigated. It's this whole big thing that affected her greatly, and I think she's doing really well, but she has good days and she has bad days, and it's really hard to sum up my daughter's last 4 years in a sentence and explain it properly to my mom. And she's automatically going to say, well, you know, she needs to go out and do this and she needs to go out and do this. You need to make her do this stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and go, you know what? She tried. She's gone for 2 different jobs, got accepted, started working and couldn't take it. Her anxiety was through the roof. She couldn't do it, so she had to quit. We didn't want her to quit. We tried to keep her in the job, but it was really affecting her life. And so we said, all right, you don't have to work. You're only 17. You're still going to school, but you do have to go to therapy. We do have to find where this is coming from and how to fix it and how to help you.
I have some questions.
Okay.
How old is mom?
My mom is 82, 81.
Okay.
Let's see, 1942. So she's 82.
Does she live alone?
She lives with my dad, who's 85.
Is your dad what we would call emotionally available?
That's a really hard question to answer.
Someone that...
He's emotional, but maybe not emotionally available.
Okay, fair.
He cries like at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
But he's not necessarily good at the feelings thing. I mean, he's from the old school Irish.
Right.
What else does mom have outside of dad?
Nothing. Nothing anymore. She used to work. She used to help elderly, which I thought was funny because they're like 5 years older than her. But
It's like me helping Rebecca when we get to that age.
but she
my
used
favorite.
to take,
I will too.
she used to take these ladies to their doctor's appointments and go take them shopping and that kind of stuff. And she just retired from that.
Well, that's
Oh,
social,
interesting.
but
When did she retire?
Yeah.
I'd say within the last 6 months or a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Have you noticed a shift in the types of conversations or the arguments that you've been getting in the last 6 months?
No.
It's always been like
It's always
this?
been like this. I have 2 sisters-in-law, and they're both saying, they both are like, well, that's mom. They're in Florida, so they deal with her on a regular basis. So they've learned to navigate that. But we moved away, and Kelly was like, I ain't dealing with that, and she hasn't.
Well, how would you characterize your relationship with your mom?
It's good.
It is?
Yeah.
And do you wish that the relationship was had a deeper connection, or that you could have conversations with her that did not constantly lead to some form of argument?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. It would be great if I could tell her what's going on with my family and have her just listen.
Because why?
Because that's what I want.
Why else outside of what you want? What would it mean to you if that was the type of relationship you had with your mom?
What do you mean?
What would it mean to you to be able to have that type of relationship where you could call your mom and you could talk to her and you could tell her what's going on, and on the other end of the line she's saying things like, oh my gosh, that sounds so difficult. You know what, Scott, though? Here's what I know about you. You're super smart and you're super capable, and so is Kelly.
She does that. She does that. I just think that when it comes to my kids, she automatically has to tell me what we should be doing. as opposed to saying, well, you're a good parent, so I'm sure you're going to do the right thing. That's all I really want. You know, unless I say, Mom, how do I deal with this situation? But that's not what I'm saying. She asks me how the kids are, and I say, well, you know, so-and-so's having a problem with this. Well, why?
Tell me about that part. That part I think is fascinating.
Well, I don't want to say too much on the podcast just because I don't.
No, not about the specifics,
okay.
but when she says, how's the kids?
Yeah.
What part of you wants to share the details and the information as opposed to saying, kids are good? Kids are good.
Yeah, I want to share. I want to tell her. I want to answer her question. If she asks me how the kids are, she's asking me because she cares, and I want to give her the answer. I want to tell her. I want her to know what's going on with my kids. You know, I don't want her to think everything's fine if it's not fine. If it is fine, then that's what I'll tell her. But if it's not fine, I want to say, Sean's doing this, John's doing this, Abby's doing this. There's this problem, there's that problem, you know, because that's how life is. Life is not like everything's fine, no matter how much you want to, you know, pretend it is. But there's always something going on.
I think
it's easy to when you have someone, if someone asks you that, you know, unless she's just asking to you know, like saying, hey, how you feeling today? Or, hey, how you doing? And then someone answers you and they're like, well, and you're like, oh, shit. But I don't think that's the way it is. I think she legitimately wants to know because she cares, because they're her grandkids. And I'm the baby of the family. Both my brothers are 10 and 11 years older than me. So they were, you know, out of the house. I was still a little kid. So in a lot of ways, I'm like an only child.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. I'm curious. Where would you go? What would your thoughts be? What are your thoughts?
I can absolutely relate to wanting to just share. And I'm the type of person that unless I specifically ask for advice, I'm not looking for it. Just because I'm sharing something with you doesn't mean I want your opinion. In fact, I don't want your opinion at all. I'm just sharing it. So I absolutely can understand your feelings of I want her to be in the know, but I'm not looking for a solution. And when they do offer up things, it's nice. And I've learned this a lot in my life. I just take people's advice with a grain of salt and think, okay, you're so way off base. It's fine. But, you know, so I can understand that. And I also understand and relate to the fact of the generation difference. I mean, my mom's not in her 80s, but she's in her 60s, and there's a significant generation difference. Significant. It's just different. You know, and the other component with my family is I grew up with a single mom and no dad. My mom was the end all be all decision maker. There was no conversation to be had.
Yeah.
I'm married in a house and with two different family values, and we have to come together and raise our kids as a family unit. So sometimes my mom gets very confused about why things would happen a certain way, because she's like, that's not how we would have done it. I'm like, I know, but I don't get to pull rank.
Right.
You know, so.
And I can relate with what you're saying too, Scott, because my parents live in an in-law suite attached to my home, and they are in their 70s. And one of the unintended side effects that I did not know was going to be a part of that experience was how much their opinions and how much any past relationship dynamics, family dynamics existed when I was growing up were going to transfer over into them living next door. And little things like I've been attuned to the ways in which my dad displeases things or is, you know, silently judging the shit out of something over the last 42 years. Because I lived with him for 25 of those years. And so now when he lives next door and he verbally will not say how he feels about something, it does not mean I'm any more or less in the know about how he feels about that particular thing. And one of the dynamic issues you're talking about is alive and well for me, and I think is alive and well for all people when it comes to their parents, is that if we have not appropriately, and I don't know the best way to do this, but appropriately let go of or changed the relationship dynamic from when we were little, which is mom and dad know best. Mom and dad are the decision makers. Mom and dad's role is to keep me safe. Mom and dad's role is to tell me things that I don't know about myself and to educate me. If that doesn't change throughout the course of in moving into adulthood, then you see the same family experience play itself out at the age of 50 and 81, at the age of 42 and 74, right? Like there's still this ingrained, almost like it was required of us for survival at such a young age, so embedded that we look for the approval of our parents, even if that parent is not connected to us in some way, even if that parent was a really shitty parent, and especially if that parent played a really meaningful role in our life. And I saw it even with my mom and her mom as my grandma was dying. Still, my mom, who's this only child, is having this feeling of, have I done enough? Is it good enough? Is it good enough for my mom? Would she approve of what was happening here? Even my grandma was losing her mind toward the end, and it was still very much this like, well, grandma would have liked it this particular way, right? My mom was in her early 70s or late 60s, and her mother was close to 90, still experiencing that type of relationship dynamic, right? And I just find that fascinating, and I found that to be one of the things that stuck out to me about your story, Scott, is we as children always have the desire to connect in a meaningful way with our significant parent, whether that be the mom or the dad, or maybe it's a guardian, or maybe it's a grandma or whatever. And it is the one place that we turn to for unconditional love and support. And when we don't get that, whether that's outright or whether that's through advice or whether that's through anything that feels displeasing in some way, it is so incredibly hurtful, because they're the one person in the world that's supposed to be the safe place where you go to have these conversations. Where that relationship is off, however, is that person, that mom, that parent, that guardian has also not shifted their role, which is that of caretaking. And all they care about at the end of the day, like you said, Scott, she's coming from a place of love and compassion.
She wants to fix it.
She wants to fix it.
She wants to solve your problems.
Right.
That's really what it is. And I hear that and I get that, but at the same time, it's really it's difficult.
It's frustrating because it's unavoidable, but there's a level of judgment in that that you feel, whether or not it's intentional or it's subtle, whatever.
Right.
It's there. And so you can't help but get on the defensive. Well, you're doing it wrong. You should do it this way. And now it's like, now you're jumping on my back about how the kind of parent I am. And
all I want is your unconditional approval. I want your unconditional. If I'm going to run into a street, maybe let me know. But otherwise, at the end of the day, even if I'm making a really terrible decision, what I want to feel from you is, it's fine. We're going to get through this. I love you no matter what. It's unconditional.
And in the past, I have tried to say, I said, like, I know that you're just trying to help, Mom, but there's so much involved with this that it's really hard for me to go through and explain it all. So
but even if you did explain it all, it still wouldn't be understood.
I know.
Yeah.
But, I say, I know you're coming from a place to try to help me, and I appreciate that. But, your advice actually is not translating with today. There's a lot of other stuff. And I leave it at that. And she'll go, oh, all right, well, fine. And then I feel like I've hurt her feelings.
That part right there is the saddest part of all of this for me, because this is what happens constantly in relationships, no matter who it is. You have two people that feel hurt, two people that feel unheard, two people that feel like they did not get their needs met. And then it's an agree to disagree, and we're just going to move on and let that go, right? Or we don't ever let it go. It carries with us into the next conversation. It just sounds different, right? And that is the part that I don't think anyone is so properly or adequately trained at being able to heal their own self in that conversation or to heal the relationship in that conversation. And I will give you an example of how I did this recently, and it was really hard for me to do. And it's hard for me to do, which you both know means it's really effing hard for other people to do because I do this stuff all the time, right? I had a situation with my dad that I did not like how that conversation went. It actually really made me angry, and I was seething upstairs. And so the very next day I needed to take my car to the car place, the car shop. And I see that my mom has her coat on. She and my dad are ready to go take me to the car dealership. And I say, actually, Mom, I'm just going with Dad. And she's like, oh, okay. Okay. All right. And she goes outside and she's like, Erin just wanted to go with you to the car dealership, so I'm just going to stay here. She said she has something she wants to talk to you about. Now, in this moment, John, no matter how military this man is, he's a little nervous right now.
Well, you are very scary.
Well, and I'm nervous, which I would never show, but I'm like, this is my dad, right? This dynamic is alive and well, right? So I had thought all night about how I was going to address the situation with him. And boy, there was a wide variability. One started with, who the F do you think, right? One started with, I might be wrong about this, but, and thankfully I landed on much more of a middle ground. So after he drops me off at the car, I say, why don't we go to the coffee shop? He's like, okay. And I said, I'm going to start with this. I feel so sad that you grew up in a decade and in an environment that did not allow men to have feelings greater than the need for control or greater than the need for anger. And I'm seeing that play out in our family dynamic in myriad ways that we don't need to get into the details of. But I'm noticing myself react differently to you, and it makes me really sad that as we move into this third phase of life, I find myself having feelings about you that are not the feelings that I want to have. Now, this man sat there.
Hard.
It's really effing hard.
It's hard to say and hard to hear.
Then we ended up at a coffee shop for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Tears. Cinnamon rolls. Like everything you could possibly imagine was happening here. It was a beautiful conversation. And one of the things I had said in that conversation was, I don't care how old we get, your approval means something to me. I don't want it to mean something to me at the age of 42. Honestly, I want to be able to just be like, well, whatever, that's my dad. And it does.
It's hard to shake
It
off.
means something to me. And I have felt my entire existence, I know you better than almost any other human being in this world. And I know you better in some ways than Mom does because I have a different interaction pattern with you. And I need you to know that I see you, and I need you to know that I know that you're an emotional person, and I need you to know that every time you give advice, you have opinions, you get angry, you respond in a certain way, I know it's coming from love. And I'm going to be real honest with you, if it wasn't, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
It would be different. Right. And you know the difference.
Yes.
You can feel it.
Feel it.
You know all the, yes.
I know this is where this is coming from, and that's why we're having this conversation. I said, so what I need you to know is I need you to hear me say that every single opinion you have pierces me in some way. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me feel like I'm not smart enough. It makes me feel like I'm making bad decisions and I'm disappointing you, like I'm a failure. Like I have a brother who's 7 years older, so it makes me feel like if I do not serve in the way that I'm supposed to or make the right decisions, that you will have a more favorable response to Brian than you do to me. And I'm okay with it being equal, but I'm not okay with it feeling like you have different, feelings or care or love. It makes me feel like it's not conditional. And his response was quite fascinating. It was, I never mean for it to come across like that. And my response was, it doesn't matter how you mean for it to come across. It still feels the same to me. And I don't need you to address what you meant. I need you to see me and how this has a reaction for me. I then moved on and gave it an example. I said, do you remember the time that Mark was spray painting his office in the basement? And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I said, that one small example was me in a complete tizzy thinking to myself, I want Mark to be able to spray paint his office. It's his office. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if he wants roll-on paint or spray paint. I want him to feel comfortable in that space. I've wanted to make that his space, and I want him to feel comfortable in his own home. While that's happening, I'm thinking to myself the whole time, John is not okay with this. There's not enough ventilation. He's having concerns about the fumes that are downstairs. He's wondering where the spray paint is going. He's wondering if Mark has the escape window, egress window open. Even if he has the egress window open, there's not enough fans down there, right? I said, that one small thing, I said, what should I do? Dad, this is rhetorical. Mm-hmm. What should I do in that situation? Do I support my husband in making sure that he has an office that he wants, even if he's spray painting, which wouldn't have been my first choice? Or do I appease my father, who I know is going to be upset and have anxiety and difficulty with the fact that this is how he chose to do it? I said, Dad, this is about spray paint. So now have it be about my kid. Mm-hmm. Now have it be about my marriage. Now have it be about all of these other things that are just so much more important. And you can see how that intensifies. Mm-hmm. And his response in that moment was, I never looked at it that way. And I never mean to put you in that position. What he said next was the most important part. I'm going to do a better job of controlling my own reactions of wanting you to be okay so that you really can be okay. Mm. And I'm like, that is effing profound. Mm-hmm. And what I hear you saying, Scott, is your mom needs to do a better job of controlling her need for you to be okay, for the ability to make space for you to actually be okay. Mm-hmm. This is an example where empathy comes in. People are trying really hard. They want you to be okay. They want you to have a good life. They want all of these things for you. But when you want all of that and your want and need for that to happen for me is greater than how I'm genuinely feeling in that moment, that's when we're running into these types of issues.
Mm-hmm. Hell of a way to end an episode. Seriously. You use your words prettier than a $20 hole.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.